Ladies and gentlemen, sons and daughters of destiny, listen to me when I say this. You were not just born, you were sent. You were not placed on this earth just to pay bills, scroll your phone, or chase temporary applause. You were divinely deposited into time for an eternal purpose. You are a walking assignment, a living strategy from heaven. There is oil on your life, and that oil carries weight. And I came to tell you today, you can't run from what you're anointed for. You can try to delay it. You can distract yourself. You can even convince yourself that you're not ready. But purpose will hunt you down. Destiny will interrupt your detours, and your calling will show up in rooms you weren't prepared to enter. Because what God ordained, no man, no fear, no failure, no devil in hell can cancel. Some people go through life wondering if they matter. They walk through seasons thinking they're just another face in the crowd, another name on a list, another body taking up space. But let me speak life into your spirit right now. You are not a mistake. You are not random. You are not here by chance. You are sent. Before you ever opened your eyes in a hospital room, before your mother ever held you in her arms, before your name was ever spoken by human lips, your identity was already established in the heart of God. He didn't create you just to exist. He deployed you with purpose. You weren't born into this generation by coincidence. You were sent here on purpose for a purpose. Let that hit you. You were not born, you were released. The time of your arrival was intentional. The family you were born into, the city you grew up in, the pain you went through, the detours you didn't understand, none of it was wasted. God knew exactly what he was doing. He didn't just design your gifts, he orchestrated your journey. He placed you in environments that would stretch you, experiences that would teach you, and battles that would strengthen you. Then the broken places you cried through were part of the shaping. You were not being punished, you were being positioned. Then, you carry something divine inside you. There's a reason you feel a tug that others don't. There's a reason you can't get comfortable in mediocrity. There's a reason you feel called to more, even when you don't know what that more is yet. It's not ambition, it's not ego, it's destiny reminding you that you were sent here for impact. You carry heaven's fingerprints. That's why you've survived what killed other people. That's why you keep getting up when everything tries to pull you down. That's why the devil tried to take you out early, because even hell knows what you're carrying. Here's the truth. If you were just born, the enemy would have ignored you. But because you were sent, you've been under attack. Sent people face storms that make no sense. Sent people face rejection that cuts deep. Sent people fight battles that should have broken them. But they don't break because they were built for this. They were assigned to it. Every prophet, every leader, every world changer in history had this in common. They were sent, not just born. David wasn't just a shepherd boy. He was heaven's warrior in hiding. Esther wasn't just a pretty face in a palace. She was an undercover deliverer. Joseph wasn't just a dreamer. He was a divine strategist. And you're part of that same lineage. You were born in time, but you were formed in eternity. You were sent with divine intelligence encoded in your soul. Your life is more than your past. Your story is more than what you've survived. You are walking evidence that God still has plans for the earth. You are not just the product of a biological decision. You are the manifestation of a divine intention. Heaven thought of you, purpose shaped you, God breathed into you. You're not here to fit in. You're not here to blend in. You're not here to play small. You were assigned to shake things up. You were created to carry light into dark places. You were designed to be a voice, a vessel, a vision of what heaven looks like when it walks through fire and still comes out glowing. Listen, there's oil on your name. There's fire in your bones. There's calling in your DNA. You weren't made to wander. You were crafted to walk with boldness. You're not average. You're not typical. You're not optional. You were sent on purpose with power for a mission. The anointing won't let you hide. You can run, you can duck, you can shrink, you can hide behind your job title, behind your past, behind your fear, behind your trauma, but if there's an anointing on your life, you won't be able to stay hidden for long. Because when heaven marks you, it makes you undeniable. You may want peace and quiet, but your purpose keeps interrupting your silence. There's something about the anointing that refuses to be ignored. You can be in a room full of people doing the same thing, but somehow you stand out. You weren't trying to be noticed, but your presence carries weight. You didn't speak loud, but your voice carried authority. You didn't ask for attention, but favor put a spotlight on you anyway. That's the anointing. Anointing is not charisma. It's not talent. It's not personality. It's divine oil that rests on your life to do what you couldn't do in your own strength. It's the invisible force behind your words. It's the supernatural push behind your steps. It's the reason doors open that you didn't knock on. It's the reason people are drawn to you but don't even know why. You've been trying to lay low, trying to keep things quiet, telling yourself, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, I'm not the one, but the anointing on your life keeps making noise. It keeps showing up in conversations. It keeps getting you called out when you wanted to blend in. It keeps placing you in positions of influence even when you try to disqualify yourself. That's not coincidence. That's calling. That's not accident. That's appointment. You've been marked. And when you've been marked by God, no matter how hard you try to run from it, you'll never be comfortable outside your assignment. It's why you feel out of place, doing things that used to satisfy you. It's why you're restless even though your life looks stable. It's why you keep being reminded through dreams, through people, through random moments that there's more in you than what you're living. The anointing won't let you settle. God's oil doesn't allow you to be average. You can pretend, but you'll never fit in. You can follow the crowd, but you'll never lose the conviction inside you. You can try to water down your gifts, minimize your voice, shrink your presence, but the anointing keeps rising to the surface. Let me say it straight. You don't choose when you're revealed. God does. He reveals you when it's time, even if you feel unprepared. He calls you out when you're still healing. He puts you on display when you're still questioning yourself. Why? Because the anointing isn't about your perfection. It's about your position. When you're anointed, God positions you in places that require faith, not credentials. He positions you in situations that expose your dependency on Him. It's not about how ready you feel, it's about how ready heaven says you are. You've been called for more than background living. That feeling that something in you can't sit still anymore. That's the oil shifting. That's the mandate increasing. That's your identity waking up. You weren't made to play it safe. You weren't made to follow the crowd. You weren't created to live invisible. You weren't born just to survive. The anointing makes you uncomfortable with anything less than obedience. It keeps tugging at your spirit. It won't let you quit. It won't let you get comfortable in disobedience. You can't silence it, numb it, or escape it. Because when there's oil on your life, even your silence speaks. Even your walk carries influence. Even your presence shifts atmospheres. Your flaws don't cancel your calling. Let's get this straight right now. You are not disqualified because you've been damaged. You are not unworthy because you've been wounded. You are not unusable because you've been through things. In fact, your flaws don't disqualify you. They qualify you. Let that break through every lie the enemy has ever whispered to you. The enemy's greatest weapon isn't destruction. It's deception. He wants you to believe that because you've messed up, missed it, doubted, or fallen, God has moved on from you. But God is not afraid of your flaws. He knew about your issues and your insecurities before he called your name. He factored in your fears when he poured the oil. He chose you with full knowledge of your failures. Hard. God doesn't call the flawless. He calls the willing. Some of the greatest assignments in history were handed to the most broken vessels. Moses had a speech issue. Rahab had a past. David had blood on his hands. Peter had a temper. Paul had a history. And yet every single one of them carried divine power. God's plan is not limited by your imperfections. In fact, it is amplified through them. You keep thinking God needs you to be polished. He doesn't. He just needs you to be available. God doesn't work through cleaned up performances. He works through surrendered heart. He uses the scarred, the shaken, the previously shattered because his glory shines brightest in the places where we are weakest. Let this echo in your spirit. Flawed does not mean forsaken. Broken does not mean benched. Scarred does not mean sidelined. You may have a past, but you still have a promise. You may have history, but you still have destiny. The enemy wants you stuck in shame, paralyzed by guilt, addicted to regret, but grace is louder. Grace is stronger. Grace doesn't ignore your mistakes. It redeems them and uses them as fuel for your purpose. God is not intimidated by your mess. He specializes in turning mess into ministry. What you thought disqualified you is exactly what God is going to use to open doors. That pain you thought made you unworthy. That's the oil factory. Those tears, that's the training ground. That failure, that's the foundation of your authority. When you walk into your calling despite your flaws, you become a living testimony of God's power to redeem, restore, and release greatness from broken places. Your flaws are not a stop sign, they're a spotlight for God's power. Your weakness is not a reason to hide, it's the reason heaven chose you. Your imperfections are not a liability, they're proof that God can do anything with anyone. Stop waiting to get it all together before you say yes to your assignment. That's pride in disguise. You don't need to fix yourself, you need to surrender yourself. God's not after your performance. He's after your obedience. He's after that part of you that says, I'm scared, I'm flawed, I'm unsure, but I'm still available. Some of the most powerful people you admire didn't step into purpose because they were perfect. They did it while they were still bleeding, still doubting, still growing, because they understood the oil doesn't fall on perfection, falls on submission. Your wounds don't scare God. Your regrets don't repel him. Your battles don't make you less usable. They make you more dangerous to the enemy. Because someone who knows their flaws and still says yes is someone the kingdom of darkness can't control. You're still chosen, still anointed, still called. Not because you're flawless, but because you're faithful in your surrender. Delay isn't denial, but it's dangerous. There's a lie that's crept into too many hearts. This idea that delay is somehow safe, that sitting still is noble, that waiting until everything feels just right is wisdom. But let me wake something up in you right now. Delay may not always mean denial, but it is dangerous when you use it as an excuse to stay disobedient. What you're calling, I'm waiting on God, might actually be God waiting on you. It's not that he changed his mind. It's not that he took back the calling. It's not that the assignment expired. No, the purpose is still intact. The anointing is still active. But delay is a breeding ground for doubt. The longer you wait, the more your mind tries to reason with what God already confirmed. The more you pause, the louder your fear begins to sound. You weren't built to stay stagnant. You were built to move with God. And when he says go, there's oil in your obedience. The safest place to be is not in comfort, it's in calling. Every time you delay what God told you to do, you forfeit a moment of favor that was already assigned to your movement. Purpose is time sensitive. There are people connected to your obedience. There are atmospheres that shift when you show up. There are chains that break when you speak, pray, write, lead, serve. Whatever your assignment is, it's necessary. But every time you delay, someone stays bound a little longer. Every time you overthink, a divine moment slips by. Every time you say, maybe later, you miss a window that was heaven scheduled for now. We serve a patient God, yes, but not a passive one. He won't force you, but he will confront you. He'll keep bringing that assignment up in your dreams. He'll keep placing you in situations that remind you of the calling. He'll keep sending voices, confirmations, signs, and uncomfortable stirrings in your spirit. Why? Because he's not letting you settle for survival when you were created to shift nations. Don't let fear dress itself up as wisdom. Don't let comfort convince you to pause what heaven's already approved. Don't let procrastination cost you your position. So many people want the oil but don't want the urgency. They want the platform but not the pressure. They want the result but not the risk. But you can't carry anointing without movement. You can't fulfill destiny while clinging to delay. There's a moment where you have to say, I don't have all the answers, but I trust the God who called me. Delay often comes from a desire for control. We want the whole blueprint before we take the first step. But God doesn't give blueprints. He gives instructions. He says, go. He says, speak. He says, move. And he waits to see if you'll trust his voice more than your own uncertainty. Stop praying for more confirmation when God already gave you a command. This isn't about rushing. It's about recognizing when hesitation is no longer holy. It's disobedience. Every giant that was ever slain, every sea that ever parted, every miracle that ever manifested began with someone moving at the word of the Lord. Your obedience is the trigger for the supernatural. Your step is the spark for the overflow. Your yes is the key that unlocks divine momentum. Delay may feel safe, but it's dangerous because it stalls what heaven wants to release through you. The longer you wait, the more room fear has to speak. The more you stall, the easier it becomes to justify disobedience. Its purpose doesn't wait forever. Assignments have divine timing, and delayed obedience eventually becomes disobedience with a polite face. You don't need more time. You need more trust. You don't need more details. You need more surrender. Because the moment you move, heaven moves with you. What you're anointed for will keep showing up. There's something powerful, relentless, and divine about a true calling. It doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It doesn't dissolve when you get distracted. It doesn't fade when you feel unworthy. What you're anointed for will keep showing up again and again until you surrender. You can try to move on, but destiny doesn't move with you. It waits for you to catch up. You may have convinced yourself that it's too late, that you missed your moment, that someone else is already doing it better. But no matter how far you drift, that pull inside of you won't let go. That stirring in your spirit, that nagging sense that you were made for more, that dream you keep pushing down that keeps rising up. That's the evidence of an assignment that refuses to die. Your anointing is persistent. It is patient, but it is present. It knocks when you least expect it. It appears in conversations and quiet moments. in unexpected confirmations. It visits your thoughts in the middle of the night and invades your mind when you're trying to settle for less. You're not being haunted by hope, you're being pursued by purpose. God's calling doesn't expire. It waits for obedience. You may think you walked away, but calling doesn't work like that. It's not based on your mood. It doesn't need your approval. It's not intimidated by your delay. It knows your name and it knows where to find you. That's why even when you tried to walk away, the vision came back. Even when you failed, the burden returned. Even when you convinced yourself you were done, something inside whispered, but you're not finished. When God puts something in you, it doesn't evaporate. It doesn't vanish under the weight of insecurity. It doesn't disappear after rejection. It just hides in the shadows until the moment you're ready to remember who you are. And the moment you do, that anointing rises up like fire in your bone. That's why you can't get peace doing what other people are doing. That's why success in the wrong assignment still feels like failure. That's why applause doesn't fill the emptiness inside. Because you're out of position. You can't substitute a paycheck for purpose. You can't swap calling for comfort. You can't trade the anointing for applause and expect fulfillment. You were born for something specific. Something tailor-made for you. And even when you try to forget it, life has a way of reminding you. People will start asking for your gift. Opportunities will randomly appear. Old dreams will resurface, and you'll find yourself standing in moments that look too familiar to ignore. That's not chance. That's the hand of God orchestrating reminders that you've been chosen for something great. Your assignment has a sound. It echoes through your spirit until you respond. The anointing doesn't leave because you got tired. It doesn't vanish because you failed. It doesn't relocate because you took detours. No, it waits. It waits in the background of your life, showing up in glimpses and nudges, reminding you that you were made for something deeper, something higher, something holy. You can build walls around your heart, bury your gifts, distract yourself with busyness, but eventually purpose will break through. And when it does, it won't knock softly. It will shake you. It will stir you. It will make everything else feel empty until you return to what you were created to do. That's why you're restless. That's why you feel like you're outgrowing places and people. That's why success still feels hollow, because there's something divine inside you that refuses to be quiet. And it will keep showing up in every season, in every environment, until you finally say, yes, Lord, I'm ready. The oil on your life can't be erased. The fire in your bones can't be smothered. And the assignment heaven gave you won't just wait. It will pursue you until you walk into what you were created to carry. Your assignment is someone else's answer. You may not realize it yet, but the calling on your life is not just about you. The oil on your name was never meant to stay in a bottle. It was meant to be poured. You weren't anointed for applause. You weren't chosen just to be noticed. You were marked to make a difference. There's someone on the other side of your obedience. That burden in your spirit isn't just personal, it's prophetic. There is healing that won't happen until you step forward. There is a breakthrough that won't break loose until you open your mouth. There is someone crying in silence, hoping for a sign, waiting on a miracle, and you are the answer they don't even know is coming. Your assignment is not just purpose, it's provision. Not financial provision, but spiritual, emotional, and transformational provision for the people who are connected to your destiny. Your gift was given to serve. Your anointing was designed to unlock something in others. What's inside you is a key. And keys aren't meant to sit in pockets, they're meant to open doors. You carry words that someone else needs. You carry light that someone else is stumbling to find. You carry the sound of freedom that someone else's chains respond to. Someone's next level is waiting on your yes. This isn't about building a platform, it's about building people. It's about stepping into what you were born to do so that others can rise from where they are. Your pain has purpose. Your story has power. Your process wasn't pointless. It was preparation to be a bridge for someone else's escape. You may not feel qualified. You may still be healing. You may still be learning to walk in what God has given you. But even now, in your raw and real state, your assignment still carries authority. Even your wounds speak. Even your journey teaches. Even your presence can shift a room, not because of who you are, but because of what you're carrying. The enemy has tried to convince you that your voice doesn't matter, that your gift is too small, that your life is too messy. But he's not attacking you because you're weak. He's attacking you because you're connected to other people's freedom. If he can silence you, he can stall the deliverance that was supposed to happen through you. If he can distract you, he can delay the destiny of those linked to your anointing. You are not just a person. You are a vessel. You are a carrier of answers, a distributor of healing, a messenger of hope. Every time you delay, someone stays stuck. Every time you stay silent, someone stays bound. Every time you shrink back, someone stays small. Because your assignment was never about comfort. It was about calling. You are not optional in God's plan. You are essential. That child that needs mentorship, that woman that needs encouragement, that man that needs direction, that broken soul scrolling through life trying to find meaning, they're not just out there by chance. They're divine connections waiting for your obedience to activate their deliverance. You are someone's confirmation. You are someone's reminder that God still speaks. You are someone's evidence that survival is possible. And the only way they'll see it is if you stop hiding, stop hesitating, stop holding back, and start walking in your assignment. There are people assigned to your gift, your testimony, your journey, your voice. And they don't need perfection. They need authenticity. They don't need